Welcome to the Tim Booker Book Sharing Channel. Here, we delve into the endless world of words, savor captivating stories, and share insights and reflections. Remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated. Let's embark on this reading journey, experience the allure of words, and explore the ocean of knowledge together.
Today's book for your exploration is Elderhood, subtitled Redefining Aging, Transforming Medicine, Reimagining Life. In November 2022, the United Nations announced that the global population surpassed 8 billion for the first time. This continuous population growth is closely linked to the increasing average lifespan, resulting in people living longer, thereby leading to a rising number of elderly individuals. The proportion of individuals aged 60 and above in 2021 reached 13.5% on our planet. By 2035, this figure is expected to potentially exceed 30%. Population aging is becoming a universal phenomenon worldwide, as the book's title suggests, marking the advent of the Silver Generation. Over 2,000 years ago, the ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle proposed the three-act structure of drama, which parallels the beginning, development, and conclusion of a theatrical piece. If life is likened to a drama, our three acts represent childhood, adulthood, and elderhood. In the past, many did not reach the third act before their life concluded. However, today, the duration of life's third act is increasing, surpassing even the preceding acts. But have we adequately prepared ourselves to embrace this third act, to welcome the era of elderhood? The answer might lean towards the negative. While we strive to extend our lifespans, there is a simultaneous fear of aging. Despite the elderly requiring the most medical resources and care, their needs often tend to be overlooked. Though respecting the elderly is a universal consensus, they are frequently regarded as burdens on society. Even today, the concept of old age carries undeniable negative connotations of frailty, uselessness, and being a hindrance. Faced with these contradictions, how should we properly perceive old age? How can we positively welcome the arrival of the Silver Generation? Author Louise Aronson, drawing from her nearly 30 years of medical experience in the United States, provides her answers. A graduate of Harvard Medical School, Louise is currently an expert in geriatrics at the University of California, San Francisco. Her articles and stories have been published in various outlets, including the New York Times and The Lancet, and she has received numerous awards for her teaching, educational research, and writing. Within this book, Louise presents her meticulous observations on the physiological, pathological, and psychological aspects of elderly individuals, coupled with her reflections on the current state of the medical system. Notably, she refrains from simplifying medicine into a purely technical matter, emphasizing the importance of caregiving and advocating for a more humane and personalized model of geriatric medicine, with technology serving as an aid. In today's tech-centric medical landscape, this warm-hearted approach is both valuable and rare. Each of us has elderly individuals in our families, and inevitably, we will become seniors ourselves. If we wish to prevent our own or our loved ones' elderly lives from becoming wasted time in the journey of life, we must comprehend societal perspectives on old age, understand what the healthcare system can offer, and not limit our actions to mere comprehension. Rather, we should reflect upon and improve these aspects, aiding society's preparedness to embrace the Silver Generation while enhancing our own ability to age gracefully through the latter third of life. Perhaps, therein lies the greatest significance of this book for us. Now, let's delve into the book's content through three sections. Firstly, let's discuss the challenges that Louise observes elderly individuals facing in today's society. Next, let's focus on the field of medicine and explore the issues prevalent in the current U.S. healthcare system when serving the elderly. Lastly, let's ponder, how can we construct a fulfilling life in old age? Sure, let's start by discussing the challenges that Louise observed elderly individuals facing in today's American society. In recent decades, the average lifespan has been rapidly increasing, elongating life's third act. Logically, individuals who have toiled and worked for the better part of their lives should receive widespread recognition and respect from society. However, the reality is quite the opposite. Elderly individuals often encounter various forms of discrimination solely based on their age. The term, silver tsunami, first appeared in Western countries in the 1980s, symbolizing the potentially devastating impact of the growing aging population on society as a whole. Clearly, tsunami is not a favorable term, reflecting an underlying negative societal attitude toward the elderly. But why does society harbor such negativity toward the elderly? Perhaps, in some people's subconscious, the elderly are perceived as abnormal. This isn't an exaggeration. Consider the concept of normal people. The immediate mental image often conjured is likely a healthy, robust adult, neither excessively youthful nor overly aged. Children and young adults often receive society's extra favor, while the elderly are marginalized, excluded from the norm. In the 1960s, American physician Robert Butler coined the term ageism, defining it as a systematic stereotyping and discrimination process against older people due to their age. Ageism overlooks the diversity within the elderly population. Despite being elderly, some hold significant positions, work in factories, while others may be bedridden independent, and yet some can run marathons. However, ageism indiscriminately devalues the entire elderly population solely based on age without considering individual circumstances. Under this discrimination, younger individuals may develop an inexplicable sense of superiority and unconsciously cease to regard the elderly as fellow human beings. There are numerous manifestations of this discrimination. Insulting descriptions of the elderly pervade our daily language. Terms like silly old man, little old lady, old and useless, or cradle snatcher. These words consistently demean, ridicule, and belittle the elderly, elevating those who have not yet aged, as if aging automatically diminishes one's worth. Additionally, you might have heard the claim that elderly individuals emit a distinct old people smell, an unpleasant odor. But does this supposed scent really exist? The author informs us that a clean elderly person doesn't emit any peculiar smell. However, as bathing becomes more challenging with age, coupled with decreased hormone secretion, elderly individuals may bathe and change clothes less frequently. Moreover, with declining senses of smell and vision, they might occasionally struggle to discern whether they or their clothes are clean. Therefore, any unpleasant odor associated with elderly individuals is largely due to reduced bathing and clothing changes. Of course, due to different hormonal levels and dietary habits among age groups, there might be a natural difference in body odors between the elderly and younger individuals. While society offers amenities like gym showers, deodorizers, and fragrances for managing young people's body odors, there's no such specialized treatment for the elderly. Thus, the concept of an old people smell is essentially a fallacy, more of a social phenomenon than a physiological trait. Yet, people have even invented specific terms to describe it, showcasing a certain disdain for the elderly. From all this, it's evident that societal discrimination against the elderly is widespread. But where does this discrimination stem from? American writer Susan Sontag argued in her paper, The Double Standard of Aging, that as American society transformed into an industrialized secular society, youth became a metaphor for happiness. Youth represents energy and desire, vital for economic and power structures to sustain prosperity, ultimately rendering aging as a discarded entity. Simply put, it's the modern society's pursuit of prosperity that breeds discrimination against the elderly, positioning them as sacrifices in the pursuit of efficiency. Discrimination breeds fear. The fear of aging and self-denial is yet another significant challenge faced by elderly individuals. A survey cited by the author revealed that the strongest aversion to the label of elderly actually comes from individuals aged 60 to 80. While physiologically entering old age, they vehemently oppose the label because it strips them of dignity and societal value, compelling them to vehemently deny their age. This fear not only affects the elderly but also deeply impacts the younger generation. While young people may take pride in their youth, they also fear aging and resist it. Anti-aging skincare products sell well, anti-aging diets are praised, and when guessing someone's age, individuals often tend to estimate lower to avoid causing offense. All these are reflections of people's fear of aging. Furthermore, elderly individuals must contend with society's labeling. In reality, old age is a very broad concept. While generally, those above 60 might be seen as elderly, the process of aging is extensive and discrete. Some individuals, due to good health and fortune, might not display signs of aging until they're 80, while others might age rapidly at 50 due to poverty or illness. However, many times in life, an elderly person might only be labeled as such based on their age, negating the importance of their physical condition, mental state, and personal character. Undoubtedly, this labeling of society undermines the independent personalities of elderly individuals. In today's American society, elderly individuals face numerous challenges, and within the medical field, there exists negligence and harm toward them. So, let's delve into the second part together and explore the issues within the current American healthcare system when it comes to serving the elderly. In the vaccination guidelines from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, minors from 0 to 18 years are divided into 17 age groups, while adults over 18 are categorized into 5 groups, with all those aged 65 and above grouped together. This division in the guidelines reflects a problem. It suggests that while physiological indicators change with age during youth, they somehow stop varying once an individual enters old age. Whether someone is 60, 80, or 100 years old, the medical standards they encounter remain the same. Why do we acknowledge the diversity of the first 2 stages of life and yet overlook the diversity in the 3rd stage? This is evidently flawed. The author once treated a patient in her 80s named Anne. Anne, in her old age, became depressed due to family circumstances. After diagnosing her, the author prescribed a newly released antidepressant, known for its minor side effects, deemed more suitable for the elderly. Surprisingly, Anne's depressive symptoms worsened significantly after 2 weeks. It was later discovered that this new medication led to a drastic reduction in sodium levels in the elderly, intensifying depression once it dropped to a certain point. Why wasn't this side effect identified earlier? Clearly, American pharmaceutical companies overlooked the unique physiology of the elderly, presuming that an octogenarian's drug reactions mirrored those of a younger person. The author observed that medications effective for relatively younger adults often yield various side effects when administered to the elderly, prevalent across almost all types of medication. This happens because during drug trials, the elderly are frequently excluded as test subjects. However, post-market, the elderly often constitute the primary users of these drugs, hence the occurrence of various adverse reactions isn't surprising. This neglect of the physiological characteristics of the elderly results in detrimental consequences within the American healthcare system. This negligence is not only prevalent in the drug development process but also in actual medical consultations. Elderly patients often require more cautious treatment from doctors during consultations, otherwise, treatments tailored for them might easily lead to issues. For instance, the author encountered a male patient nearing 80 named Dimitri. This elderly gentleman suffered from late-stage Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's, and several other chronic illnesses. However, just a year before, he had been in excellent health, mentally sharp. What caused his health to deteriorate rapidly within a year? After understanding Dimitri's medical history, the author suspected that erroneous prescriptions destroyed his health. This speculation was confirmed through pharmacy records, a chain reaction initiated from a new type of blood pressure medication Dimitri was taking. Initially prescribed to lower his blood pressure, this medication exacerbated his gout symptoms. Unfortunately, his doctor didn't promptly switch this blood pressure medication but instead prescribed another medication to treat gout, which brought about gastric reflux, and so the cycle continued. As he consumed more medication, his health declined further. This situation, termed the prescription waterfall, highlighted a series of prescriptions unsuitable for the elderly that ultimately compromised their health. During treatments, doctors need to assess elderly patients based on their specific characteristics. Using prescriptions tailored for young people on the elderly often leads to problems. There are several such instances. For example, the author found that some elderly individuals with mild dementia tend to unconsciously fabricate stories while describing their symptoms, as early-stage dementia is challenging to detect. Consequently, if doctors fail to distinguish which statements are genuine and which are fabricated, misdiagnoses are likely. Issues within the American healthcare system in serving the elderly also manifest in later-stage treatment and care. Some elderly individuals gradually lose their ability to live independently after falling ill, and their families might lack the capacity to care for them. Hence, they might be admitted to nursing homes or care facilities, perhaps for treatment purposes or caregiving. Yet, the author points out that life after being admitted to these facilities is often miserable for the elderly. The living conditions are uncomfortable, their personalities and dignity are entirely disregarded. Those living in these facilities don't consider themselves as residents or patients but constantly refer to themselves as prisoners. Their lives lose purpose and meaning, and their environment and lifestyle are drastically different from their homes. Essentially, whether it's the staff or the elderly residing in these facilities, most are unwilling to stay there, raising questions about the happiness of the elderly in such conditions. These issues encountered by the elderly within the American healthcare system stem from a simple reason: in the values of the American medical system, the medical value of the elderly is considered less than that of younger individuals. Younger people are easier to treat and cure, contributing more social value after recovery. Therefore, the American healthcare system leans more towards and favors the needs of younger individuals. As elderly individuals cannot generate as much societal value, neglecting their requirements is seen as a relatively cost-effective strategy. Apart from neglect, another significant factor is the trivialization of diseases as normal signs of aging. Before becoming a doctor, the author once believed that becoming forgetful as one aged was a normal phenomenon. However, upon becoming a doctor, it was discovered that this supposed forgetfulness was, in fact, a symptom of Alzheimer's disease. It's a medical condition and not simply a natural sign of aging. This attitude of considering abnormal as normal often hampers elderly individuals from receiving the medical care they truly require. The notions of neglect and trivialization not only result in numerous issues within the American healthcare system in serving the elderly but also hinder the development of geriatric medicine as a discipline, having far-reaching consequences. The author points out that in surgical, psychiatric, and neurological fields in the United States, patients over 65 constitute over 30% of the population. This number surpasses 40% in internal medicine, orthopedics, and emergency medicine and exceeds 50% in cardiology and ophthalmology. While the elderly are the primary patients in many medical fields in America, does geriatric medicine receive equal attention? Far from it. The author realized during undergraduate studies that geriatric medicine in the United States is considerably undervalued and rarely acknowledged compared to other medical disciplines. In the United States, whether it's prestigious institutions like Harvard Medical School or others, students are rarely rotated through geriatric departments during their education. However, most students eventually end up caring for older patients as doctors. Conversely, although the majority of medical students won't manage children or pregnant women in their future careers, schools arrange rotations in pediatric and obstetrics departments. This stark contrast underscores the marginalized position of geriatric medicine in medical education. When dealing with colleagues from other departments, there's even a feeling that geriatric physicians in the United States, due to having to consider many family and social issues of the elderly, focus relatively less on specific medical problems. Therefore, they aren't regarded as true doctors and aren't practicing medicine but merely caring for patients. In this medical system's atmosphere, with this lack of education in geriatric medicine, it's no wonder that American elderly individuals encounter numerous difficulties when seeking medical attention, both within American society and the healthcare system. In both American society and the healthcare system, elderly individuals face many unforeseen challenges. Therefore, there's a greater need for us to actively confront and solve these issues. So, moving on to the final section, let's discuss how to build a happy life in old age. Is life in old age happy? Absolutely. A large-scale study in the United States suggests that middle age is the period when men and women experience the lowest happiness index, the highest anxiety index, and the lowest life satisfaction. This state of unhappiness starts to improve only around the age of 60. Another study indicates that people's anxiety gradually rises from adolescence, peaks between the ages of 35 and 59, then starts declining from the age of 60, gradually reaching the lowest point in their anxiety index. Synthesizing various similar studies, it can be concluded that individuals around 70 experience less stress, depression, worry, and anger compared to younger people, enjoying more joy, happiness, and contentment. The author believes that aging itself doesn't bring misery, rather, it's a series of social behaviors like the absence of life goals, poverty, exclusion, and marginalization that cause distress. Not only the elderly, but individuals of any age would feel unhappy when encountering these factors. So, how can we construct a happy life in old age? This book tells us that in areas like interpersonal relationships, the environment for the elderly, mental attitude, medical positioning, and technological applications, there are areas where we can strive for improvement. Concerning interpersonal relationships, we should fully recognize the importance of good relationships for the elderly. The author cites conclusions from the Harvard Adult Development Study, a social study on human happiness that began in 1938 and collected survey data for 80 years. While the data was extensive, the ultimate conclusion was simple: relationships make people happier and healthier. Happiest individuals in society generally have one or more intimate relationships alongside stable and satisfying marriages. In contrast, loneliness not only leads to sadness among the elderly but also causes physiological decline and even death. Studies have found that social isolation's health hazards are equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. When other medical factors are consistent, loneliness increases the mortality rate by 26%. Regarding the environment for the elderly, the author believes we should objectively assess the pros and cons of nursing homes. While many families are unable to care for their elderly, nursing homes might be their only choice, yet the environment in these homes has inherent limitations. Some might think that having enough money to live in the best nursing home ensures a peaceful old age. However, this notion is shallow. Even if nursing homes provide adequate material conditions, they fail to provide genuine friendships and the motivation to wake up every day. Moreover, within these homes, everyone often witnesses death, with people coming and going, creating an inability to form a stable network of relationships, which naturally leads to a lack of happiness. Nursing homes also deprive the elderly and the young of the opportunity for intergenerational communication, an essential life experience. Ultimately, living in nursing homes creates a sense of isolation and social exclusion, erasing any potential for happiness in their later years. Thus, the author suggests that nursing homes should not be the priority choice for eldercare environments. In terms of mental attitude, understanding that a positive mindset can promote positive outcomes is crucial. Positive attitudes manifest in various ways, such as enjoying happiness, self-acceptance, and identifying life's most crucial aspects. Attitudes towards aging influence one's approach to growth or decline and impact health and even lifespan. Those with a more positive attitude towards aging engage in more preventative health behaviors like exercise and a balanced diet. Surveys show that instilling positive attitudes about aging results in better physical function among older individuals, sometimes even surpassing the benefits of exercise. The author believes that our current attitudes toward aging determine what our future old age will look like. A positive mindset is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Regarding medical care, medicine needs to find its rightful place to better serve the elderly. On average, older people require more medical resources than younger individuals, thus clinical medicine and medical education should further incline towards the elderly, no longer treating them as an edge group in medicine. Additionally, while modern medicine often focuses on fixing bodily issues, it rarely considers the negative impacts and costs of the fix itself. While most of us hope to be cured throughout life, excessive emphasis on cures at life's end brings more suffering. This fundamentally happens because modern medicine still treats death as an enemy. The correct attitude towards the death of an elderly person should neither indulge nor anticipate it but regard it as an important segment of life's journey, approaching it at an appropriate pace. Given this understanding, the correct positioning of geriatric medicine should help alleviate the inevitable end of life, providing end-of-life care to elderly individuals, reducing unnecessary painful treatments. As the Hippocratic Oath in medicine states, to cure sometimes, to relieve often, to comfort always. The author also explores the impact of technological applications on the lives of the elderly. With societal advancements, demands for quality of life rise for everyone. However, amidst an aging population, caregivers in society remain relatively scarce. Therefore, involving technology in elderly care is a growing trend. Currently, numerous new technologies are aiding the elderly in living better, including health monitoring, remote control, and life reminders. Clearly, future technology will offer unprecedented assistance to the elderly in caregiving. However, we must also recognize that while technology permeates every aspect of life, it can infringe on the privacy and freedom of the elderly. Hence, the author suggests that we recognize the ethical boundaries of future technological applications, preventing the creation of another form of nursing home through virtual control and remote manipulation. Alright, so here's a brief summary of the essence of this book. Firstly, the book discusses the challenges faced by elderly Americans in today's society. The pursuit of efficiency in modern society often leads to discrimination against elderly individuals who cannot contribute efficiently. This discrimination creates fear, haunting not only the elderly but the entire society. Moreover, the singular image associated with aging in America diminishes the individuality of each elderly person. Next, the author delves into the problems within the American healthcare system concerning services for the elderly. Throughout the process of pharmaceutical development, medical diagnosis, and treatment, elderly Americans often encounter unfair treatment and harm. This is due to the lack of attention paid to the elderly within the medical system, which in turn affects the teaching methods in medical schools, hindering the development of geriatric medicine in the United States. Lastly, the focus shifts to how to build a happy life in old age. It emphasizes the importance of valuing the elderly's interpersonal relationships, objectively assessing the pros and cons of nursing homes, adopting a positive attitude towards aging, increasing the medical community's regard for the elderly, positioning medicine as a tool to alleviate the inevitable end of life, recognizing the ethical boundaries of technology in elderly care, and collectively creating a happy life for the elderly throughout society. Life's trajectory is irreversible. In a way, from the day we are born, we embark on a journey of aging. Although one day our hair will gradually turn white, and the costs of health will increase, we shouldn't solely focus on the unpleasant aspects of old age. Just as a baby's cries keep parents awake at night, infancy is still a beautiful phase. Youthful rebellion may stir parental concerns, but those youthful years are still worth cherishing. As the body weakens with age, life experiences become more abundant, making old age potentially the most fulfilling phase of life. Linking happiness solely with youth is akin to digging a pit we'll eventually fall into. Similarly, succumbing to societal biases against the elderly will eventually make us victims of those biases. How the final chapter of life unfolds entirely depends on us. Hopefully, this book brings inspiration to you and me as we approach our silver-haired generation. That's the essence of this book. Congratulations on finishing another book. Thank you all for your support and attention. Please subscribe to the Tim Booker channel, like, and share this valuable knowledge with friends around you. Let's combine wisdom and practice to achieve our financial goals and create a better future. Thank you, goodbye.